Terry was a very special person in our lives and was an extremely important part of our family. His story and the life he lived is a good model for us all to follow in building the life around a person like our little brother Terry. He'd go over and he'd get the album out, he'd pull out the record, he'd turn the record over onto the right side, put it on the turntable, put the needle right exactly on the track that was Daddy Big Boost, just because he knew that's exactly where it was.
A lot of the albums would be out. They all looked the same to me, but he would pick them and put them in the right cover and have it all done.
Quite amazing, yeah.
He'd look at the label. I don't know how he ever figured it out, but...
Yeah.
Terry was born November 30th, 1956. He was born double breech, and it was complicated by the umbilical cord being wrapped around his neck. So he had damage to the back of his head, and it caused symptoms like a stroke. His right side was paralyzed. He was unable to speak properly, although he did try later in life. He's going to have issues all his life because of that. And the doctor suggested he be put right into an institution because they already had 5 kids at home, and they figured Mom had enough on her hands. But Mom and Dad were both quite happy to have this little guy, and they refused to put him in an institution. They decided to wait till Christmas Day. They brought him home. Mom told me after that we were all standing around the door just waiting for this baby. We hardly let him get in the door. We were so happy to have him. So they were a good example of showing us that he was never going to be able to do the things we did, but he was his own person, and he would always be part of our family.
Our behaviors and how we loved and treated Terry became kind of the norm for how everybody treated Terry. Dad died in 1960 when Terry was 5, so unfortunately Mom came to the realization there's no way she could handle 6 kids, one with the intellectual disability and physical disability, so she finally agreed that he should go to an institution. The St. Amand Center was run by the Green Nuns at the time. Even by today's standards, it was much more inclusive, if you will.
When he was in St. Amand too, he was trying so hard to walk, and the doctor saw him, and the doctor was just amazed that he was so determined. Every second Sunday, we'd pile in the car, and Mom would drive us in, and we'd pick him up, and we'd go for picnics, or drive around and look at sights, or at times, closer to Christmas, look at lights, right?
In 1967, he had to go to the Manitoba Development Center in Portage Prairie. When he moved out there, we had to stay away from the center for 2 months while he settled in. So Mom wasn't too happy with the building that they put him in, I guess, and she lobbied for him to be in a place where there was more people his age.
Terry never cried as a baby. It was only a couple of times we saw that he had tears. The last time I remember was taking him back to Portage. We didn't tell him where we were going because he wasn't happy about going back. Then we got not even halfway, and he started to sob, and he kept trying to tell us he didn't want to go. It was the hardest thing we ever did because we didn't have a choice. Mom and I were working. All of us were working. There was nowhere to leave him in Selkirk. That's one of the times where Mom really started we need to do something in Selkirk and have these people home. And it wasn't just her. There was other mothers feeling the same way.
And that's exactly when Mom became the unrelenting warrior advocate.
Yeah.
Because she just couldn't stand Terry living in that environment. Community living was really just gelling a lot at that point in time. And so Mom worked really, really hard to get Terry to move from MDC into the community.
Finally, they decided, okay, maybe we'll try it. And they had 2 or 3 others from Selkirk that they thought could come home, and they actually set up a home. They had a great life in Selkirk. They were so happy to come home, and the staffing was great, and they went to the day program. They were home very well. They were home, yeah.
When he came to Selkirk from the MDC, the public trustee remained the substitute decision maker, the SDM. But Terry made decisions in his own life with the help of the staff and the family. And in 2005, the executive director in Selkirk told us that Terry was quite capable of making his own decisions. She felt he no longer needed to be under the trustee. Our family agreed we would be involved in all major decisions, and that worked very well for us. But a few years ago, Family Services decided that everyone funded by them should be under the public trustee. And our family said, no, we don't think that's a good idea. And they were reluctant to
They were quite upset with this. Never mind.
Yeah, they were upset, but we met them and we sort of set out our case for why it should be that way, and he ultimately came back and agreed that that's what we wanted for Terry.
And I don't think a lot of other people had that choice, right? They didn't have the
They didn't have the advocacy.
Yeah, so we had
From family.
family behind him. I always made him as photo books. These are the photo books. Remember, we made different ones for Terry. Any picture that was taken, Terry would go, picture, book, Trisha, book, Trisha, book. And one time we were going fishing and we went over a beaver dam. We had to push the boat over and he fell, remember, in the back of the boat? And then he laid there for a minute and went, picture, because he wanted it for his book, what we were doing. During his years in Selkirk, he worked at Arc Industries at Inclusion. He went swimming, bowling, celebrated special occasions with his residents and his family, and had a especially good time at the annual fundraising social where he would dance from the minute he got there till the minute he left. And as he got where he couldn't dance as well because of his leg being not so good, he would pull his chair out to the middle, or we would pull it out for him, and he would dance sitting there with everybody else. And even at weddings we went to, he'd be sitting in his chair, and we'd all dance with him.
We were at a meeting with my siblings and my mom, and a guy from BC was out making a presentation, and there was about 30 families in the room. When I looked around the room, clearly the message on every face was, what's going to happen to my child when I die? Even though Terry was in a pretty special little world with his family, that was a question that haunted him up too. If he wanted to make sure that he would be cared for when she passed away. When I met Helen Steinkoff and Bob Mannering, we started to talk about, discuss and contemplate the building of continuity care. When we were starting it, I didn't see this new organization as being one that our family needed for Terry, because he organically, we had built around him, or he had built around himself perhaps, this amazing network of people who connected with Terry and cared for him, and that network existed every day of his life until he passed away. Every family with an intellectually disabled child should have that environment around their individual. So that's what motivated me more than anything to get involved and to work really hard with some very, very wonderful people to build this organization. Unknowingly, Terry has provided me personally with the inspiration, belief, and passion to get involved and ensure that we, Continuity Care, could help all those other families build the support networks and safety nets around their own loved ones. And that is what Continuity Care is all about. In fact, it's what we do today.
I got a call, and it was one of the staff that was the supervisory staff, and she said, the ambulance is at Terry's, and it's not good. And she was in tears. So I phoned these guys, and then I went right over there. And as soon as I saw him, I realized he was gone. Everybody was so upset and concerned, and it really bothered the guys because it happened on their watch.
And then when we went back, like the next day or whatever, to the house to see them, we just cried. They cried, we hugged. They were more friends than staff and looked after Terry so well. They were wonderful people.
And to me, that tells the story of why the inclusion movement is so much better than institutionalization. It really speaks to why our mom and Helen Steinkoff fought for inclusion, because that's what was best for the kids, and they knew it. So.
Terry was very special to all of us.
I miss him lots, really lots.
Terry's story is one of setbacks, challenges, hurdles, and barriers that he faced. And he always overcame all of these obstacles with his good-natured optimism, determination, perseverance, and his amazing sense of humor. These qualities and his quiet acceptance defined who he was as a person, that while he was different, intellectually and physically disabled, he was indeed a very special and unique person unto himself. This was who my brother Terry was. And he has been, for as long as I can remember, my personal hero.
Terry was so much a part of our lives, and he'll live on in the things we do and the time we've shared together.